Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. They are advancing to a consecutive AFC championship. They will be taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll talk about that more on as the week goes by. As almost every Bengals player said, Bills fans, you better get that refund. I was watching the pregame. All right, and granted, I was at a bar. I didn't have any volume going on, but I thought it was so funny that only one CBS analyst, quote unquote, picked the Bengals to win this football game. I don't know, genuinely, after covering this team for about half a season now, I don't know if people watch the Cincinnati Bengals. I was like, and most Bengals fans were not worried about this football game. And I don't want to give any disrespect to the Buffalo Bills, but this game was pure and utter domination. Most playoff victories by QB within their first 3 years. Mr. Joe Burrow comes in second place all time with 5. Bengals franchise before Joe Burrow, 5 playoff wins, 2 AFC title appearances in 52 years. Bengals with Joe Burrow, 5 playoff wins, 2 AFC title appearances in 3 years. Yeah, pretty good pick there by the Cincinnati Bengals. And just, a little preparation. Joe Burrow against Patrick Mahomes has a 121 passer rating. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the video. Before we get any further, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button if you guys enjoy it. I'll post Bengals content a couple of times a week along with daily NFL videos. Now, it's beautiful. Bengals versus Chiefs, AFC Championship. It feels great. 27-10 victory today. It was a complete football game. And that's a big thing in the playoffs, is it's not always pretty. Even in the regular season, the Bengals had a couple of games that, wasn't necessarily pretty. Maybe a good half and a bad half, 3 good quarters and a bad quarter, whatever the case may be. For the most part, they were very consistent. I get that the Buffalo Bills were so hot, and once again, I don't want to disrespect Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills because they're a talented football team, but how did nobody outside of Bengals fans predict this victory? I find that just so crazy to me. After the first quarter, it was 14-0, 412 total yards of offense in the snow as well, 0 turnovers. They ran the ball beautifully. Shout out Joe Mixon, 172 rushing yards as a team tonight. No turnovers once again. They dominated the possession, 34 minutes to 26 minutes. It was beautiful. And I got to give props. Man, that offensive line did a phenomenal job. And even when looking at Joe Burrow's statistics today, 23 of 36, once again, it was in the snow. So the field, the outside factors, the weather was definitely at play today. 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a rating of 101.9. But honestly, that doesn't even give him enough credit. Joe Burrow had an excellent football game today. Excellent football game. Now, in our last video, we talked a little bit about the rushing attack. Now, I asked a question, do you guys want Joe Mixon back as your starter next year? And I want people to answer that question again. Do you want Joe Mixon as your starter next year? Because I know, especially since he got back from that concussion, it hasn't necessarily been sunshine and lollipops. But today, he stepped up along with pretty much every Cincinnati Bengal. But shout out Joe Mixon. Also shout out Samaje Perine, 7 carries, 33 yards. That's almost 5 yards per carry. Joe Burrow also making several plays with his legs, 31 rushing yards for him. But Joe Mixon, man, winning in the trenches. Once again, shout out that offensive line. That was their quote-unquote weakness heading into the game because they're missing a couple of key starters. But I think a good way to describe the Bengals, and especially Joe Burrow, is they win. Winners win. It's a tale as old as time. But Joe Burrow has that it factor. He's got that swagger. He's got that charisma. And he certainly has the talent. Some people have it. Most people don't. Joe Burrow definitely has it. And I think just even the coaching staff, the management, all of the players, all of these Bengals guys, they have the it factor. And maybe it has to do with that they're a small market. But this team just doesn't get enough credit. They don't get enough credit, and they're finally now taking down Buffalo on the road. Cincinnati in the last 2 years especially has been a phenomenal road football team. I think that credit's going to finally start coming in. It's crazy because this team made it to the Super Bowl last year, and it's like, yeah, that wasn't just a one-time thing. This is gonna be this is gonna keep going. And if Cincinnati takes down the Kansas City Chiefs, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I think the tides are turning as far as AFC dominance and who's the top dog in the AFC. But once again, that's a whole week away. That game hasn't happened yet. We'll talk about that as the week goes on. Jamar Chase with a beautiful touchdown. Hayden Hurst with a beautiful touchdown. Man, they just have so many threats on the offensive side. Just once again, for like the 8th time in tonight's video, shout out to that offensive line. They came together as a unit. They stepped up and they protected Joe Burrow. It was absolutely beautiful. This wasn't a game like Baltimore where no discrediting the Bengals offense in that last game against Baltimore, but it wasn't a perfect offensive game, right? Definitely left some things out there, and you could argue that the defense at the end of the day won them that football game, especially with the almost 100-yard fumble return for a touchdown. But the defense today, once again, they were perfect. I mean, it really was as simple as that. They were perfect. Cam Taylor-Britt with a huge, dominant, monster game. And I also got to give some love to the special teams. Evan McPherson, towards the end of the season, maybe it was iffy's the wrong word, but it was a little bit, it was a little close. Missed a couple of kicks. I think that fourth quarter, to start off the fourth quarter, it was first couple of minutes. I think that field goal by Evan was huge, because at that point it was all right. It's 24-10. Cincinnati's dominated this game. They're scoring on just about every possession, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal. They're scoring on literally almost every possession. They're running the ball down the field. They're throwing the ball down the field. They're doing everything perfectly. The offensive line's doing perfect. But if Evan missed that, or if that had gotten blocked, or whatever case may be, because keep in mind, I know it wasn't a long field goal, but keep in mind it was snowing. Anything can happen. It's the playoffs. Anything can happen. If he had missed that or it had gotten blocked, that would change the momentum entirely. Buffalo could storm down the field, get a touchdown, and just like that, it's a one-touchdown game. That field goal was monumental, getting them to 3 possessions. This just seriously, like, words can't even describe it. It was a perfect game by the Cincinnati Bengals, and they're going to be running high. And let's just get a little bit of Chiefs talk going on. That tweet I was talking about, Joe Burrow has a 121 passer rating versus Patrick Mahomes. They've won 3 straight games against him, but it's the best among 16 quarterbacks to face him multiple times in his career, including the playoffs. Burrow, week 13, had 126.6 passer rating against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the highest passer rating allowed by the Chiefs to any quarterback this past season. So Bengals fans, along with myself, feel pretty good about this AFC Championship. We'll talk about it all week, so stay tuned. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, drop some comments, and I'll see you guys later.